start first with Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, look, we are witnessing a future in gaming that is happening at rocket speed. And the future of gaming that I'm talking about is what is happening currently with the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. And having an aggregated gaming list for you to show for this to show up on these handhelds is this future where the walls, these walled gardens that were, PlayStation versus Xbox versus PC, those are going to come down. And Xbox is doing it first. Microsoft is investing in lots of things that are going to give you, the gamer, and of course, I'm talking to the chat here, you, the gamer, the ability to play a game wherever you want on whatever device you want. And I know that we've been talking about this for a while. I know that Xbox has been preaching about Play Anywhere for a while, and it's taken a long time to get here. We know that cloud wasn't always the greatest. There are other cloud subscribers that have it better, like GeForce Now seems to have it really good when you play it on their equipment. But the fact that you will be able to buy a game, the game will more than likely be a Play Anywhere game, meaning that you will be able to play, you'll own that game and play the game wherever you want, is a ginormous step towards the future. And as you've seen from social media, change scares a lot of people. And when that happens, you see people acting a fool, like we've seen certain names that will remain nameless. And I get it. But this is why I honestly believe that this conversation we're about to have is not only honest, it's earnest, it's truthful. It is what the future of gaming is going to be. Now, does that mean that PlayStation has to do that to be successful? Well, no, I don't think that they do. They're going to do what Sony has always done for years, and they're going to remain a very traditional PlayStation. Now, whether that hurts them with sales or not, I honestly don't know. Nintendo, see, the difference between Nintendo and everybody else is this. Their one-to-ones, meaning console and game purchase, is the highest percentage in gaming, and it's not even close, folks. It is not even freaking close. And the reason why they can make profit on a console is because their next generation console is a PlayStation 4 Pro Power. Their budgets for a Mario game, a Zelda game, pick your favorite. Their budgets, their highest budgets, and I don't know this for sure, but I can tell you one thing. The next Zelda will not be $315 million to make that game, like it was for Spider-Man 2. You know what it'll cost? About $70 million, maybe $80 million to make the next Zelda. And you know something about that next Zelda? It'll sell as many copies as their Switch 2s out on the market. And that's why they don't have to do anything what Xbox is doing. You see, the difference here with the future that I'm talking about, and why I honestly believe that the next generation Xbox already has a leg up on the PlayStation 6, is because what I said prior. The PlayStation 6 is going to be a traditional console. It is going to be an incredibly powerful PlayStation 5. There is absolutely no way that they're going to have an open source box this late in the game. Xbox has been working on this for years. PlayStation is going to release a very powerful, very comparable PlayStation 6, but it's just going to be that. That is my point, and that is why I believe that the next Xbox already has a leg up on the PS6. I want to get your thoughts, Fuzzy.
Well, there's a lot of ways the next gen can go, and I've been trying to think of potential things that Sony might do to change things up. Like making a traditional console will probably work well for them, but I don't think that gets them above and beyond the player base that they currently cater to. And I think that's something that they're really trying their best to achieve as far as, making more inroads into the PC space. And the only thing that really comes to mind is to leverage their partnership, even though it's more so for the movie end of Sony's business, but leverage their partnership with Epic. And I could see that potentially, like, I've heard some rumblings, some rumors about their PC store still in its infancy. Um, a lot of stuff behind the scenes is still kind of dragging on, deciding on some things in the build process. But outside of that, I think they do want to make a bigger splash on the PC front, whether that's day and date or partnering up with something like Epic, where more of their titles will be available, as well as some of the exclusives that Epic gets at times. But a lot of times, those are also sometimes the timed exclusives that Sony gets. So I can see them trying to integrate something like that, but not at the launch. Like unless this goes above and beyond gangbusters with Xbox having maybe a full year advantage as far as release. I don't know if they quite move as fast, because Sony a lot of times, if it works, don't fix it until it's broke kind of thing. And we see that even with Bungie. No slight to Bungie, but it feels like they could have shaken things up a lot sooner, a lot quicker to get things on the track that they need. So they're a lot more calculated with their moves. But when it comes to the next generation for Xbox, the big advantage that they have even in this generation is that quick resume. And I know there's a lot of people like, oh, well, Death Stranding 2 loads instantly. And that's great. Try going from Death Stranding 2 to GT7 and then maybe, Ratchet and Clank and then back to, Death Stranding 2. There is going to be, some more of a load time, or it's not as instantaneous, like, oh, you click on it and the screen loads and it's where you were, the last time. Maybe they figure out a way to do that. I don't know. It looks like, or at least my interpretation of the partnership that Xbox has with AMD is going to have it where more of their chips might have that capability. I know I've heard rumors in the background before about Windows 12 having that as one of the core functionality things that they wanted to integrate into Windows 12. They also wanted to do kind of their own built-in DLSS built into Windows 12, but they're already looking like they're using or will be using some of that hardware as far as the AI aspect of the chip, possibly for the next gen console. But Xbox has been great as far as features. Quick resume being the main one right now. Next generation, it could be more of a DLSS approach on certain games, so that way maybe something like a Series S has less of a headache for devs as far as, I guess, developing slightly different. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, looking at devs that are used to the traditional methods and then scaling down from PC kind of thing. I think that may have been some of the trip up for some of the devs in comparison to the way the dev kit worked for the Series X and S. But moving forward, I don't think that will be as much of a problem, because this is going to be more in tune with PC hardware. Is there some optimization issues on PC with certain developers? Yes. Not every developer. And a lot of developers are doing a lot better than even some of the developers on console when it comes to optimization on PC. And just think of how broad of a parts bin you have to cover for or make compatible. So I think this next console is going to be, feature rich, because it's kind of like what Phil said. The biggest thing that will attract you to Xbox is going to be what their platform and what their next console will have as far as features and abilities. And that open, basically like an open format type of store where you have the main Windows store, but you also have access to Steam, access to Epic, access to GOG. All of those things are going to make it so you don't have to look elsewhere. You just get this one box and you have everything at your fingertips type of deal. But hardware wise, the partnership with AMD, I think, is going to bode some more surprises like quick resume in the sense of maybe upscaling or even expanding on quick resume, so that way. And these are things that we've kind of talked about in the background. It's like the real dream is when the Xbox Ally X or Xbox Ally that you were playing at your lunch break at work, you bring it home, you hit it in the dock, and you decide, well, I'll play it on the console, and it picks up right from exactly from where you left off. No load times. If you were playing Division, you're right behind that same piece of cover that you were behind when you docked that handheld. So I think these are going to be some more of those differentiating factors. And the fact that you'll have more access for things like Discord as far as the party chat, even though they're already, stout chat setup works great. It'll give you a lot more people a lot more freedom and maybe more integration. So that way, when there are cross-platform and cross-play type games, you'll be able to have a lot more interaction with those other platforms in that regard. But that next piece of hardware, I think will start to show where everything is heading. Like, the exclusive box for exclusive games used to be the model, but I think moving forward, especially considering more of these publishers and more of these teams want to make money outside of what their current ecosystem may provide, we're going to see some more expansion. Now, will that mean PlayStation games specifically on an Xbox outside of, loading them from Steam? Maybe not, but they'll definitely expand their PC reach. And who knows? They'll probably, do more experiments like they did with the Horizon Lego and see if the Switch 2 might be a better landing point for some of their, titles, whether it be something like Astrobot or, other spin-offs that they can use their IPs on that device. But looking at Xbox right now, I like the direction they're headed. I like the fact that they are going with a tried and true partner as opposed to, switching up and going with Intel, because there were some rumors about that. There were some rumors about Qualcomm and Snapdragon chips, which we saw on the Copilot laptops, and that didn't quite work as well for gaming. There's still a lot of like when you're having to emulate certain games that have anti-cheat, you run into some brick walls, or even some of the ones that don't have anti-cheat, it still has this layer that doesn't run as smooth. Because I know, from what I understand, Master Chief Collection was having some issues in that regard on those Snapdragon laptops and stuff. So going with AMD, they've used them the previous generation and an offshoot the generation before that. They kind of know each other's, pros and cons of what they are looking for and how to achieve those goals as far as the platform is concerned. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this console. Pricing, I don't know. We'll find out what pricing looks like if there's another push for a 90-day stay on tariffs. And I hate bringing tariffs up, but that's something that's still going to be real and potentially affect things. But outside of that, yeah, it would be great if they can still do subsidies to kind of keep the costs low. But I want to warn people, prepare yourself for $600 base consoles moving forward for both PlayStation as well as Xbox. If they can keep them at $500, let's all do a dance in the streets kind of thing, but kind of prepare yourself. And that way, maybe the sticker shock is less harsh. But yeah, the hardware that'll be under the hood, especially with it being, new technologies and things like that for that chipset, I think it'll be well worth, even a $600 price. But we'll see if that is the case for everyone. And if they even do a Series S2 kind of skew at that point. Hopefully, if they do, they're more in tune with their devs as far as the dev kit and what they, request, whether it be memory or other tools to make it a much simpler process for them than, the ones that have taken to it already. There's quite a few devs that have no problem with it, but the handful that do still have whatever programming issue, whether it's paid or intentional or what have you, hopefully that can be resolved through this next gen console. And if not, maybe get the game on Steam and, wait until one of those summer sales like what's going on now.
You know what? You're onto something. Again, we'll see if there is going to be a Series S level next gen console. And again, the rumor for a bit has been a handheld. There's also a rumor that started floating around a couple of weeks ago where it was going to be a handheld hybrid, meaning it was going to be a dockable console with less power in your hand, a little bit more power when you dock it, but not as powerful as the next Xbox, but still a PC slash Xbox. I don't know if that's the route that they would go. Honestly, as opposed to the traditional ROG Ally X type of handheld, I would love to see Xbox do that, because what it would do is offer a PC level entrance into, knocking down these walls, Umbra, right? You're going to get your GOG, you're going to get your Epic Game Store, you're going to get Steam, you're going to get Xbox, you're going to get Xbox Game Pass, all on this device. But it's also not going to break the bank, and it also is not going to be as powerful as the big boy that's going to be underneath your TV, which could ultimately be, $600, $700, $800, $900. And I do believe that we're getting into a realm where subsidies are going to go the way of the dodo. I don't think that these companies are going to take massive losses on these consoles to move consoles. They'd rather move software. Ultimately, it's why Xbox has taken this third-party approach, because they are selling games on Xbox. They are selling games on PC. They are selling games really well on PS5. And eventually, they're going to bring their games to Switch at some point. When, I don't know. But they will, at that point, have sold games everywhere. And if they can sell software everywhere, they don't have to worry about selling you the console, which it seems like they've gone to. Now, are they making next generation hardware? Confirmed, yes. But Umbra, I had a lot to say before we handed you to Mike, as well as Fuzzy. I want to get your thoughts on this, because I do think there is something to be said about Microsoft as a corporation and Xbox as a part of that corporation doing some different things than their other competitors to gain ground, especially in the hardware area, where we know that they lost this generation, they lost last generation, and obviously the next generation is going to be vastly different looking. All right, there's OEM is going to be a big part of what Xbox does. Other people, other manufacturers are going to make their boxes, and some of which, and again, this is just me spitballing, and I guess it's fanboy dreaming, maybe there is a Microsoft Xbox that is very powerful. But what if Lenovo or Asus or one of these other manufacturers says, yeah, we have that as well, but if you want to spend the money, here is a setup that's $1,200 versus $900. Maybe there's a 5090 in there, or 5070 in there, versus what the Xbox is doing. That, I understand we're getting into PC land, but again, what that kind of manufacturing does is get guys like me who will never game on PC. Now I'm a Steam customer. Now I'm an Epic Game Store customer, because I can play those things on this box that I couldn't do on my old console, and that's where the walls come down. Let's get your thoughts on whether or not you believe this new frontier for Xbox is not only a step in the right direction, but a step up or a leg up on PlayStation's next console.
So it's complicated, because I don't quite know exactly which way everything is going to go. Because, I mean, we're still a lot of consternation on them doing a no exclusive thing, right? It's bring up a lot of people like, man, well, okay, well, why do I need to get an Xbox? But to me, having something like this is a killer app, right? Like having this where you get to access everything on Xbox evens the playing field for, in my eyes, when it comes to them in PlayStation. Right, because PlayStation people were saying, well, you get these Xbox games coming over there. I got PlayStation games, the games that may skip Xbox, they're all on there, right? Well, now Xbox is this right here. This move equalizes them in a way. So I feel like if Microsoft can stay at the pace of where they've been, like this year has been spectacular. If they can stay at this type of pace and deliver quality games as they've done this year, than the 80s and the 90s ratings as they've done. And if they can continually lock down 90 plus or whatever game of the year contenders like Expedition 33 going forward, on top of adding the ability to play these vaunted PlayStation games through Steam or GOG or Epic because of the integration of those stores into the UX. All of those things I think will definitely lead people back toward Microsoft that may have, deviated and traded over and become traders to Xbox. No, I'm joking. But those who may have left, may see something with the ecosystem worth having. I do. Game Pass to me is that killer app. But if I was just on console, I look at some of the reactions from people and I kind of think like, man, you all seem to, I wonder if most people kind of, at least the more vocal of us that's here, like in the chat and online, if it's still a disbelief that this thing is happening. Because I see, it feels to me like people don't really quite believe it. And it's still like, yeah, I'm happy, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Guys, it's happening. Because if I was seeing this news and feeling the way I feel here, and I wasn't on having a powerful PC as I have, I would be sitting here cheering the day on. Like, yo, this is big right here what Xbox is doing. If we're keeping it real, this is uncharted territory in a way for them to go this direction with this.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional style of excuse me.
It is definitely out of the box thinking, for sure.
Yeah, it's out of the box. It's definitely outside the norms of a traditional style of console for them, and it opens up the ecosystem so much more. And there are some games that don't even land on PlayStation. Very few, but there are some. With this right here, that means Xbox gets everything, including those types of games. You know what I mean? Now there might be some type of limitations as far as keyboard and mouse, but then Xbox has access to that too. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But I think this type of situation definitely positions them to win. I guess it all depends on how they do the messaging and how they the pricing, obviously, of the handheld and of the next gen console. I know that the thought is that they won't subsidize. I still wonder though how that'll work out with the handheld, because if they're giving us the Z2, so it's pretty powerful, right? Like I'm moving to that because I have the Z1 Extreme, ROG. The Z2 is fairly more powerful, much more powerful in general, and it also has the added feature of the Xbox control ergonomics to it. So that's the thing. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a worthwhile, a purchase for me. I don't know how many other people will say, "Hey, I'm down to spend $700 or whatever it may be." At the end of the day, right? I don't know. So that's why I say it's kind of uncharted. It's uncharted territory. I don't quite know how that might go for that. And I don't think Microsoft has deluded themselves either, right? I'm pretty sure they understand it's more of a niche device, right? The true test would come with them actually getting the console out there and it landing and having all those things available to play. That's the true thing. And again, I think if they can keep the cadence up with this, yeah, I can see this landing and going well for them and bringing people over. Absolutely. As far as how it goes for Sony, that can go a lot of ways. We've seen when Xbox has delivered, the Xbox 360 is our prime example to go to, right? It landed a year before the PS3. I believe it was a year, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they jumped them a year, and I think that is actually what is going to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard a lot of people kind of equate that timeline versus wait a second, this could happen again, because you got to remember, if they jump Sony by a year, and Sony's, listen again, this is not downplaying Sony's next generation hardware. It's going to be powerful, folks, and it's going to do amazing things, and the game's going to look stunning. But again, the problem with it being traditional versus what Xbox is doing, even though it's uncharted waters, it's something that's never been done before, that there comes a part in the conversation that was used against Xbox for years, Umbra, where why do I need an Xbox if I have a PlayStation and a PC? Okay, that's not a problem. And they were right to say so. Here is now where that turns into a reverse card.
Yep.
I've Uno'd reversed you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Now, why do I need a PlayStation now? Right.
Why do I need a PlayStation 6 if I could just wait for it to come to Steam and buy the game there? And again, folks, whether you believe it or you don't, there is going to come a point where the shareholders are going to demand that Sony at least do a dual release, meaning PlayStation 5 and 6 and PC at the same time, because they are literally leaving thousands upon thousands of dollars on the table trying to keep the game exclusive to the box, where the other guy, Xbox, is allowing you to go and get games from everywhere. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It will kind of, I think, well, I know the the fanboy chatter will be, why do I need a PlayStation? Right? Like, that's going to be the thing. Like, and it's not far from the truth. It's just kind of obvious. No, I think, and also too, you'll likely be able to use your dual sense on the next Xbox, I would imagine, since it's going to have more of a stronger ties to the PC in the ways, right? Will be more opened up, if you will. So there, you kind of can get your full experience there, right? You know, like, I'm just being real. So I think when you look at it like that, and if they come out a full year or two before the PlayStation 6 would drop, yeah, that could possibly cause trouble for Sony as far as initially. I don't know how things will play out in the long run, but I think, again, that goes back to the point of Xbox delivering on all those different fronts when it comes to games and things that they can acquire, not acquire, but I guess, well, acquire as far as inside of Game Pass. I mean, third-party games, things like that, things that make you have to sign up for Game Pass, because that's the true exclusive for them. I know some people like to try to write that off. Well, it's not exclusive. Yeah, technically, yeah, I get you, but that's their exclusive now, since their games are all going to basically be going over to PlayStation, right? Okay, I've accepted that. That doesn't bother me. It's whatever. And hey, kudos to the more people getting to play those games. But now the opposite is true now too. You what was yours is now ours too. PlayStation guys, my PlayStation brethren, those games will be coming over here too. We family now. We intermingling. So let's get used to this. I think maybe this might unite us. Maybe this will bring peace. One console to rule them all. Maybe this will bring peace. Boom. Fuzzy, what do you got? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, look, I will say this. I mean, I don't play on PC, so I don't know. Please correct me if someone in the chat or anybody on the panel. Do you have to pay to play online with PlayStation games? You don't.
No.
Or do
Not
you?
if you're on Xbox, on PC, you don't.
All right. So here's the thing. That's another reason why you might get people to say, wait a second, I'm paying for cloud saves and online. They just raised it to $80. It might go higher. What the F do I need a PlayStation 6 for?
Let's
if
be
I
honest.
can get, I mean, that's honestly.
You're absolutely correct there, Boom. I'm sorry to jump in.
Please.
I don't even see the point of PlayStation Plus outside of you getting those cloud saves. The games they bring into PlayStation Plus periodically, they're decent, right? Don't get me wrong. I think
they occasionally have a banger in there.
Occasionally they do, right? They'll sometimes be even better than what Xbox might give you for a month. But in general, Game Pass takes a dump on their chest when it comes to that. Let's keep it real. This is not to do the either or, them against whatever, but this is just the facts of it. So if I don't have to get that, and I can get your games, and the only thing that will be holding me back is FOMO. Well, if I can get rid of that FOMO feeling and wait just a little while, I'll have your games over here too. So that's really the only thing holding it back is FOMO. That is, of course, barring the thought and that people keep trying to push. I think it's wishful thinking that, the games, the Sony will somehow block it, on the Xbox side. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Nope.
But that's the thing. So this could lead to that. I kind of get this weird feeling, though, that it seems like more and more people are kind of generationally behind. Because I look at Sony gamers, and I think a lot of them are still on PS4. You know what I mean? A lot of them are not on PS5. So as well as it's selling, I feel like there's still so many left behind. So by the time Xbox moves up to this with the Xbox Fusion, sorry, music in the chat. Yes, that's what I've dubbed it, the Xbox Fusion.
That's the rumor name. Xbox Fusion puts everything together. It fuses everything together.
Yep. Yes. Accept that music in the chat. Yes, music 72. Yes. I feel like he's like, no. But I feel like that, that could be an issue too, where people, I think the finances could be the issue where he called it the Ford Fusion. I feel like what's wrong with Ford Fusion's music, huh? But no, I feel like that could possibly be the issue where I think financially a lot of people are kind of in the turmoil, and they might not, or just not necessarily can prioritize gaming like they used to, right? They're getting more expensive. You got much more important things to do in life to handle business wise. So that has held people back, I think, in moving forward too. So it's going to come down to a lot of things that can really push people forward. It's going to be pricing. It's going to be, what possibilities you can do with the console. And I think Xbox has that point down as far as what it can offer you. To me, I think the selling points are there. As far as accessibility to everything, I don't think you can get much better than that. If I can get everything in one, that's a utopia. So, I mean, again, it only comes down to FOMO. That's it. And if people can put off FOMO, then you got everything. And I feel that, and I've said this before, I feel like at the end of the next gen, if not the gen after for PlayStation, they might be going day and date by that point. So even that FOMO part might dissipate eventually, right? And then there's one other thing, Grand Theft Auto. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I can't quite quit you yet. Consoles, right? Like, I don't want to wait for that to come to the PC. I want to play this now. I'm one of those people. So, I'm going to be dusting off the old Xbox and, I'm playing through that. Maybe I can do some cloud streaming of it here and there. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I know Take-Two, they want all their money and then some, twice and 3 times and 16 times over. You know how they do.
Everyone in this chat bought Grand Theft Auto 5 17 times. We all do. Check your couch cushions, folks. You're gonna find like 3 or 4 copies. Like, where'd those come from? Right. I don't know. They just popped in there. My bank account got emptied. What happened?
Was what I heard cracking all this time? Oh, okay. Wonder why where that thing went. Who put this under my pillow? But man, I feel like it's a lot open in the air as far like a lot of open-ended things that needs to be solved. And one of the things that Xbox and Microsoft has to still kind of get in order is their messaging. And I feel like if they can get that right and proposition the pricing right, as well as that, that can absolutely pull people away, I would imagine, to Xbox. So it could be an issue for Sony. We'll see. I think though that just looking at it in a traditional sense, we always go back to console sales, right? It's kind of ingrained in our heads. I don't really think that's Microsoft's biggest point now for them. Obviously, it's MAUs, you're right. It's getting subscriptions for Game Pass, right? That's the thing for them. So I don't think that really matters as much when I think about it like that. But if you can pull these people into Game Pass, and once they see what you're offering with the next console, I think people might get stuck. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. The only kind of thing that dogs it down again are the pricing. And if we want to go back to the reservist, not reservist, what's the word I want to use? So people's past catalog of games, right? That could cause an issue. Like, well, I got all my games over here. I got or associations. I got my friends over here. Those things play a real important role. So that's tough to really say. I'm sorry to be ambiguous with my answer, but a lot of things have to go right. Is the best way I could put it. Good morning, Dave Reezy and Sith Lord. What's up, brother? But I guess that's where I'm at with it right now. It's a lot of open-endedness. I don't know enough to kind of make a stance just yet. So I'm kind of giving out, I guess, hypotheticals.